Clayface looks like a solid, unique, artistic, and memorable film. The teaser presents a tragic story with an unflinchingly dark atmosphere and brilliantly squirm-inducing body horror. And it's got a lot of people saying that the DCU is cooking. But is it really though? Now before I go and piss off all the gun pros again, you should know that I'm just thinking out loud here. So if you like my brain vomit, you know where the like and subscribe buttons are. Now without further ado, let's take a look at what the DCU's most interesting upcoming project says about the state of this universe. What no one can deny this proves is that the DCU allows for a wide variety of unique creative visions to explore all the deep and distant corners of the DC universe, unrestrained by some restrictive template or need to fit into a grander picture like pieces of a puzzle. However, some fear the same freedom has led to a lack of cohesion and identity for the universe as a whole. After all, it's hard to believe projects like Lanterns that seem terrified of the magical nature and fantastical epic setting of the source material exist in the same universe as Superman, which honestly could have used a bit of that restraint. In fact, I would say I don't think most normies have a clue these projects are supposed to share a universe. If I was under the impression that most normies have even heard of any DCU projects besides Superman. And that leads to my real point, because this isn't just an issue of tone. More importantly, it's an issue of narrative. See, the DCU may allow for good movies and shows within it, but it lacks the vision to be a compelling larger story. Even if you love Superman, Creature Commandos, and Peacemaker, and you have the highest expectations for Supergirl and Lanterns, you would have to have Doctor Strange's ability to look into the future in order to have a clue where any of this is supposed to be headed. No one could look at these projects and identify the seeds of a grander story. No clear team-up or big bad is anywhere in sight, and the constant shuffling of the DCU's extremely fluid slate makes James Gunn's supposed plan feel like a thin illusion of control over a chaotically fluctuating mess. Gunn has been tasked with giving us the next MCU, but he doesn't seem to know how to pull that off. See, the MCU wasn't just a collection of individually good but dramatically disparate stories. It was a single, massive, yet cohesive story that, at least at first, delicately balanced artistic freedom with the coordination and collaboration needed to weave all individual projects into the grand whole. Now, it's worth noting that some extended universes are more cohesive than others, and the DCU doesn't have to be exactly like the MCU. Some interconnected universes are composed of stories that just share continuity for the heck of it, without comprising an overarching narrative, such as the works of Stephen King or the filmography of Quentin Tarantino. So could the DCU just be more like that? Maybe it should have been, but according to the man in charge himself, no, it's not. From the get-go, James Gunn boldly presented the DCU as a single MCU-style narrative, integrating all its properties into one grand story. And so far, it is failing spectacularly to meet those expectations. Now you might very well argue that it's too early to tell where this is going. Could we have predicted the Infinity Saga halfway through Phase 1? Well, we could at least have predicted Phase 1's culmination with the Avengers, and that's all we're really asking for here. But I admit this would be a semi-valid argument if it weren't for the other problem facing this universe. While it's struggling to keep its stories pointed in any clear direction, it's simultaneously suffering from the opposite problem, the same one which most would-be MCU copycats have fallen into. That is, just about every DCU project thus far has seemed more concerned with launching a universe than telling a compelling story. From Peacemaker and Creature Commandos feeling more like setup than self-contained stories, to Superman seemingly prioritizing the introduction of as many characters as possible over having a focused, coherent plot. And somehow, they suffer from this problem without giving any clear indication of what it is they are so intent on setting up. At least Tom Cruise's The Mummy didn't leave you wondering what on earth Universal's plan was actually supposed to be while it was sacrificing its own story to advertise a future that would never happen. And I think this is why people are so excited by the Clayface trailer. They're tired of feeling like the DCU is just trying to establish a universe rather than tell a story, and watching projects that are just trying to get them excited for an end goal that James Gunn may very well still be trying to decide on. By contrast, this film just looks like a solid standalone movie that doesn't require any homework and isn't itself homework for an assignment that may or may not come down the road. And while that's incredibly refreshing and I am hyped for the movie itself, it is to me not a sign that the DCU is cooking, but a sign that the DCU is cooked. Because the only project that looks to be getting anyone excited is the one that appears intent on making everyone forget it's a part of the larger universe at all. If the only film in your cinematic universe that really stands out in any positive way is the one that could be entirely separated from the universe without really affecting a single thing, then maybe that's a sign that your universe isn't working as a universe. So what is my point, and what does this have to do with the Clayface paradox from the thumbnail? The paradox, and the thing I made this video to express, is that the very attitude that allowed this great looking film to come into being, which I am grateful for, is the same thing that is fundamentally wrong with the DCU, and I'm conflicted over how to feel about that. As someone who values artistic freedom and integrity in filmmaking, I feel I should be happy about it, but if the DCU wants to emulate the success of the MCU, James Gunn needs to treat it not as a playground for various creators to do whatever they want, but as a single project, a single story, with a shared identity across all projects within it. Clayface is proof that the DCU doesn't have that identity. And you know what? Maybe that's fine. In fact, maybe that's for the best. But if so, Gunn needs to recognize that fact and stop trying to convince everyone that this is all part of a grand plan, and just let each and every film stand purely on its own 2 feet like this one. But what do you think? Are you excited about Clayface? What do you think it says about the DCU, and how do you feel about the current state and future of this universe? As always, I'm just here to kick off the discussion, so please, share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, just keep thinking out loud.